In today's world, many constantly seek ways to better their lives and connections, consuming self-help books and reciting affirmations about self-love. Yet, there's a deeper understanding within ourselves, revealed by the insightful psychologist Carl Jung. This groundbreaking discovery holds the key to reshaping how we connect with ourselves and others, profoundly transforming our view of relationships and our very being. It's important to realize that our relationships aren't ever random. The qualities that draw us in or push us away in others often mirror unresolved internal issues and conflicts that demand our attention and healing. When we meet someone who stirs strong emotions, whether it's admiration or annoyance, it's often a reflection of something within us. It acts as a psychological compass, pointing towards aspects of our personality that need either growth or some kind of healing. If you find yourself admiring someone, it could signify a quality you desire to develop but haven't yet embraced, maybe due to fear or self-doubt. Conversely, if someone sparks irritation or anger, it might indicate a quality you deny within yourself, unwilling to acknowledge its presence. Imagine, for example, that overly confident people set you on edge. This likely means you suppress your own natural confidence, possibly due to past trauma or beliefs ingrained in childhood. Or, if creative individuals particularly attract you, perhaps your own creative potential is yearning for recognition and expression, but you haven't found a way to let it manifest in your life. When someone's emotionality grates on you, consider whether you're forbidding yourself from showing emotion, fearing it will make you seem weak or fragile. This journey of self-discovery demands honesty and a willingness to confront aspects of yourself you usually prefer to hide. While this can be uncomfortable, it's crucial for creating real change in life and creating healthy connections. When we reject parts of ourselves, we can't develop fulfilling and healthy relationships with others because these unaccepted aspects will constantly get projected onto those around us. To begin your transformation, try keeping a detailed journal of your reactions to others, carefully noting any recurring patterns in your relationships, while also actively working to accept the qualities in yourself you typically reject and deliberately cultivate the traits you admire in others. When you start integrating previously rejected parts of your personality, your relationships will naturally become healthier and more harmonious, filled with new meaning and depth. You'll stop attracting toxic behavior, gain the capacity to love without codependency or manipulation, and significantly improve your self-understanding and acceptance in all your complex entirety. Remember, true, profound love only becomes possible when you fully embrace yourself, including your so-called dark sides and imperfections. This is not just a beautiful sentiment or theory, but a real way to transform your whole life, demanding continuous self-work and the bravery to face your own shadows. Each encounter, each relationship becomes a mirror reflecting your true self, paving the way towards real wholeness, accepting every aspect of your personality. This profound self-knowledge allows us to build healthy relationships founded on love and mutual respect, not on fear, dependency, or attempts to fill inner emptiness through others. In this process, it's key to keep in mind that every person we encounter acts as a teacher, guiding us to understand ourselves and our needs on a deeper level. It is common to feel small and insignificant because there is a part of us that doesn't allow ourselves to feel big and important. On the journey of self-discovery, you'll find ways to incorporate your shadow, not to become perfect, but to become whole, because only when you fully embrace yourself can you be truly and authentically loved. You should understand that our shadow doesn't only include negative aspects of your personality, but also includes our unrecognized talents and gifts. When you deny parts of yourself, you fragment your very being, creating invisible barriers that hinder the profound connection you long for. This fragmentation makes you search for what you can't accept in yourself from other people. Every time you judge someone harshly, you are standing in front of a mirror. That quality which frustrates you so much in the other person is a reflection of something you haven't accepted in yourself. Pay attention to your most intense reactions. It's there you'll find the most valuable clues. Perhaps you can't stand vulnerability in others because you are afraid of your own vulnerability, or you criticize excessive ambition because you haven't permitted yourself to acknowledge your own desire for success. The shadow also shows itself in romantic attraction. We are drawn to people who openly express what we keep suppressed. If you feel an overwhelming attraction to dominant people, ask yourself, Is there a part of me that desires to express more power and authority? If you are constantly seeking partners you need to save, you're projecting your own need for attention and care. Relationships often get sabotaged subtly, but insistently. You might fear abandonment, so you are the first to leave before being left. Or you might be afraid of being controlled, therefore you resist all suggestions from your partner, even reasonable ones. These patterns are not random. They are defensive mechanisms from your non-integrated shadow. Integrating the shadow requires courage. You need to be ready to see it without judging. Each time you feel intense rejection towards something in another person, ask yourself, where does this exist in me? Not to blame yourself, but to get to know yourself better. Integration also implies expressing repressed aspects in a safe environment. If you repressed your creativity, find a space where you can freely express it. If you rejected the need for connection, allow yourself to be vulnerable with people you trust. Little by little, these rejected parts will turn into sources of strength instead of hidden saboteurs. A powerful exercise is writing a letter to your shadow. Acknowledge its existence. Thank it for what it tried to give you and share your intention of integrating it with compassion. This internal dialogue can be the start of a deep reconciliation with yourself. The wonderful paradox is that by accepting your darkest aspects, you become brighter. By accepting your imperfections, you become more authentic. This authenticity opens the door to real connections. The deepest and most satisfying relationships emerge when two people present themselves whole, with integrated light and shadow. The theory of attachment teaches us that our first connections form patterns that repeat in adult life. If you learned in childhood that love is not constant, you will unconsciously seek inconstancy in your adult relationships because it seems familiar, although it is painful. Knowing these patterns, the first step in their transformation. The true goal of romantic love isn't to make you happy, though happiness can be a wonderful side effect. Its purpose is to uncover aspects of yourself that would otherwise remain hidden. It's in intimacy that your deepest fears, defensive mechanisms, and unexpressed desires are revealed. When a conflict occurs with your partner, the most valuable question is not who is right, but what does this teach me about myself? Perhaps your disproportionate irritation at a comment reveals a deep insecurity. Perhaps your need for control hides a fear of being abandoned. These findings are treasures for anyone who aims to grow. Attraction is also a teacher. You are attracted to non-integrated aspects of yourself. If you deeply admire someone's freedom, you probably have a desire for more freedom in your own life. If you are captivated by someone's creativity, maybe there is an artist inside you waiting for the chance to express themselves. Your strongest attractions are maps that lead to your unrealized potential. Even romantic disappointments, although painful, are opportunities for growth and self-discovery. When a relationship ends, you have two paths: blame the other and repeat the pattern, or look inside yourself and ask, what can I learn? The difference between these two reactions determines whether you become more bitter or wiser. Mature love does not seek perfection in another, but instead aims for mutual growth, where both partners are interested not only in personal happiness, but also in shared evolution. In such relationships, each challenge is perceived as an opportunity to expand the boundaries of knowledge, overcome limitations, and heal together. Paradoxically, when you accept love as an instrument of growth, happiness comes more deeply and enduringly. You are no longer dependent on ideal circumstances or an ideal partner. Satisfaction comes from the very process of evolution and deeper self-knowledge through the mirror that another person provides for you. Changes begin when you stop repeating phrases like, "I always get partners like this," and start asking, "Why do I keep choosing partners like this?" This change in perspective returns power to you. You are no longer a victim of fate or the actions of others, but a conscious creator of your experience in relationships. Accepting love as a path to growth requires courage. You must be prepared to see uncomfortable truths, question rooted beliefs, and let go of identities that no longer serve you. But the reward is huge: a more authentic relationship, deep self-knowledge, and the ability to love from a state of freedom, not need. Why do we constantly find ourselves in similar types of relationships? The answer lies in our subconscious. Repeating patterns are not accidental. They signal that there is something inside us that needs healing. For example, if you are constantly drawn to people who make you suffer, this is a sign of an emotional wound that requires attention. If you are always looking for people who make you feel important, it means there is a part of you that does not feel your own value. Toxic relationships are like invisible cycles, repeating with mathematical precision in your life. You change partners, but the dynamics remain the same. This is not a curse or bad luck. It is the result of deep programming, acting from the subconscious and directing your choices without your awareness. These programs are usually formed in childhood, when you learn to understand what love is and how relationships work. If you grew up in an environment where love was conditioned by success, you probably constantly seek approval in your adult relationships. If attachment was accompanied by criticism, you may only feel comfortable in relationships with a certain level of conflict. The famous phrase, "familiar is confused with safe," explains why we repeat harmful patterns. Your brain is programmed to seek the familiar, even if it hurts. The first step in breaking these patterns is developing self-awareness. Look at your relationship history as a movie. What themes are repeated? Do you always feel abandoned? Are you attracted to emotionally unavailable people? Are you prone to losing your identity in relationships? These repetitions are not coincidences. They point to specific emotional wounds. Behind every toxic pattern is a limiting belief. If you constantly attract people who betray you, perhaps inside you lives the belief that you do not deserve loyalty. If you always find yourself in relationships where you feel controlled, you may subconsciously believe that you are not able to manage your own life. Neuroscience shows that these patterns are not only psychological, but also neurological. You have created strong neural connections through repetition. Breaking these chains requires constant awareness and the deliberate creation of new experiences that contradict habitual patterns. A powerful exercise is identifying emotional triggers, specific situations that cause disproportionate reactions. Perhaps a partner's simple lateness evokes an intense fear of abandonment, or a casual comment about your appearance activates deep insecurity. These triggers are windows to your central wounds. Healing begins when you take responsibility for your patterns. This does not mean blaming yourself, but recognizing your role in creating and maintaining these cycles. As long as you see yourself as a victim of circumstances or other people, you will remain trapped in repetition. The power to change comes only when you take responsibility. Breaking patterns requires reconnecting with the body. Relational addictions work like other addictions. There are somatic signals preceding compulsive behavior. Learn to recognize how attraction to toxicity feels in your body. Intense excitement, a false sense of security, a soothing familiarity. This awareness gives you the opportunity to make conscious choices instead of automatic reactions. A fundamental step is setting clear boundaries, both with others and with yourself. If you know that you tend to lose your identity in relationships, create rituals that support your connection with yourself. If you are attracted to people with narcissistic traits, clearly define what behavior you will not tolerate. Boundaries are acts of self-love, interrupting patterns of self-destruction. Real transformation happens when you dare to choose the new, even if it initially seems uncomfortable. If you have always gravitated towards dramatic and intense relationships, calm and stable relationships may seem boring. This discomfort is normal. You are creating new neural connections, new ways of experiencing intimacy. Remember that breaking patterns is not a one-time event, but an uninterrupted process. There will be moments of regression, temptations to return to the familiar. Every time you recognize a pattern and choose differently, you strengthen your new path. Neuroplasticity is on your side. With each new choice, you are literally rebuilding your brain. The ultimate goal is not relational perfection, but an awareness that allows you to choose freely. When you are no longer controlled by subconscious programs, you can create relationships that reflect who you are now, not the wounds of your past. You can love not out of lack or compulsivity, but out of fullness and freedom. Authentic love is not something you find, but something you create when you unconditionally love yourself. Love ceases to be something you seek and becomes who you are. This understanding changes everything, because until you realize this, you will continue to look outside for what can only be found within. We were raised with the belief that love is something external, a force that finds us if we are lucky enough. This romantic narrative, although beautiful, puts us in a position of passivity and dependence. We wait to be chosen, seen, loved. But this perspective distorts the true nature of love. Authentic love comes from within, like a source, and not something that needs to be extracted from another person. When you depend on external sources for experiencing love, you create a pattern of constant scarcity, like a vessel with holes that will never be filled, because love coming from the outside is always temporary, conditional, and limited by the human capabilities of another. A paradigm shift occurs when you realize that you are the primary source of your loving experience. You do not need permission to love yourself. You do not need qualifications or credentials. Self-love is not a reward you deserve for being good enough. It is your birthright, your natural state when you remove the barriers you have built against yourself. The practice of unconditional self-love is revolutionary in a world that has taught you to value yourself based on productivity, appearance, or achievements. It means honoring yourself both when you fail and when you triumph. It means speaking to yourself with the same compassion you would offer to a dear friend. It means recognizing your intrinsic value, regardless of external validation. As you nurture this loving relationship with yourself, a transformation occurs in your external relationships. You no longer approach others out of need or emptiness, but out of fullness. You no longer seek in others what you lack, but generously offer what you already have in abundance. The beautiful irony is that when you stop desperately needing love, you become more able to deeply experience it. Your relationships become spaces of expansion, not filling. You are not looking for someone to make you happy. You share the happiness you have already cultivated. You do not expect the other to heal your wounds, but you can grow alongside them. This change transforms the very nature of your attractions. When you act out of lack, you are attracted to people who reflect your unhealed wounds. When you act out of fullness, you are attracted to people who reflect your wholeness, resonating with your frequency of self-love. This is the difference between attraction based on addiction and attraction based on freedom. The practice of self-love is not narcissism. In fact, it is its opposite. Narcissism arises from deep insecurity, from an internal emptiness that is constantly seeking fulfillment. Authentic self-love comes from recognizing your full humanity and honoring it. It allows you to see others with greater clarity and compassion because you no longer project your unmet needs onto them. Remember that love is not a goal you achieve, but a daily practice. There will be days when loving yourself will be more difficult, days when old patterns of self-criticism surface. Do not despair. Every moment of awareness is an opportunity to choose love again. Every time you reconcile with yourself after a moment of disunity, you strengthen your ability to authentic love. The greatest paradox is that when you stop seeking love as something you lack, you discover that it has always been here, like a fish desperately searching for the ocean while swimming in it. You have been immersed in love all along. Your task is not to find it, but to recognize it, allow it to be, express it, first towards yourself, and then naturally to everything around you. This is the secret that mystics and sages have shared through the ages. Love is not what you do, it is who you are. And when you live from this truth, every relationship, every encounter, every moment becomes an expression of that loving essence, which is your deepest nature. Now it is time to discover these truths about yourself by observing our channel,